What's going on, everyone? Coach Jason here,
Coach Sharon.
Coach RJ.
and we are back with another episode of the Mach 1 Method, best podcast on YouTube. Whoop, whoop. Um, so today we're going to be just chatting about some, pretty relatable topics, I think, and that's working around getting frustrated in the gym despite putting in a lot of effort. So, Coach Aaron, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the most common things that you see is people think they're like, oh, if I just show up, results are going to happen. And showing up is half the battle for most people, which is great. But usually, in terms of like effort in the gym being an issue, it's people that are using the same weights week after week, month after month. So at that point, showing up isn't really enough if you're not progressively overloading or challenging yourself week after week. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, you're going till failure, like every single rep, every single day. But it should be something that you start to grow and evolve with the more you be in the gym or been in the gym.
I think we've talked about it on other episodes too, the importance of following a program and having a program and being goal oriented, but that just kind of bounces off and speaks to that. Like, a lot of the times people come into the gym day after day, week after week, whatever your goal might be, and saying like after like a couple weeks or a couple months, like I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, why am I not seeing it? But if you're not progressing the program and you're not taking the next steps and pushing yourself and putting that effort where it needs to be, you're not getting the results that you should be expecting.
Yeah, whether it's like you want to lose weight, get stronger, you're going to have to do that no matter what. So it kind of applies to anyone that walks in the gym. It's a very general principle.
Yeah, I think isolated, like, it's awesome that we have somebody who's working out hard. I think
100%.
it's not overlooked. We're not saying like we don't want you to work hard in the gym, but maybe we can channel those efforts to make sure like it is goal driven, right? And matches like what you are trying to get out of your time in the facility. If I'm trying to be a better runner and all I'm doing is squatting, you could work hard and be the best squatter in the gym, but it's not going to help you run necessarily.
Kind of inversely, if all you're doing is running and you're not complementing that with anything else, now your effort is almost hyper focused, and you might lead to like overuse injuries or things like that. And it's like, well, I want to run, I want to try so much harder, but like I can't, my body can't keep up. You're not putting enough effort into maybe something like recovery or diversity in your program.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different variables to training that exist both inside and outside of the gym. So it's like the progressive overload we just touched on, and then things like nutrition, sleep, hydration, recovery, those all have to complement, what you want your end goal to be as well. So if something is off in one of those variables, it could make it seem like, you're getting really frustrated. It's like, oh, all my hard work's not paying off. But it could be something very simple that has to be tweaked.
Yeah, and I guess to define that term progressive overload, there could be a couple things you could do to progress an exercise, right? Like depending on your goal, like it varies obviously, but you could obviously make something heavier.
Yeah.
You could increase the range of motion. You could make the variable a little harder or make it unilateral. There are a whole bunch of options. So if all you come in and you just think I got to go heavier each time, not necessarily the case. And that's where I think when you take a step back and if you are frustrated and you kind of have like a broad overview and you're like, oh, I came to the gym at this point, I'm at this point, and my goal is to get to this point, then we do that like needs analysis and gap analysis to be like, all right, where are my efforts going towards? And inside the facility or outside the facility, I'm doing what I need to do to get towards my goal or get one step closer to that goal.
100%.
I think back to one of the nutrition coaching sessions I actually recently had where, it was our first session together and we were defining the goal as, wanting to lean out, build more muscle, have a certain, body fat percentage and like feel good and have a certain aesthetic to it as well. And planning out the roadmap to get there, the conversation starts with, okay, right now we're kind of starting, this person's starting from scratch. So it's like, let's establish a baseline of just healthy eating habits, right? So I need you to put all your effort into, making it consistently to the grocery store, making it consistently to meal prep in your schedule, adding these consistencies and these small wins, right? And then once those tasks become a part of your lifestyle and quote unquote easier, or just more integrated, now we start to put the efforts into another aspect of the cycle and the plan to help push the needle in the right direction. And that needle pushing, that effort, that direction constantly changes depending on where we're at in, I'll use the word phase of the program or the nutrition cycle or whatever it might be. So it's just like kind of like a specific way where we can like adjust and tailor and work around any type of like, because that like nutrition could be very frustrating in and of itself. It's like, oh, like I'm eating chicken, rice, and broccoli. Why am I not shredded tomorrow? Like, so we want to avoid that frustration and have some realistic expectations.
Eat more chicken.
Eat more chicken. Plug Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Big fan. Big fan of your work.
Nuggies.
Oh, that's a different story. But, so we kind of were talking about it earlier. So how often should you reevaluate that plan? Because you said the needle changes and shifts depending on, what cycle you're in and stuff. So what's like normal for most people, like to reevaluate?
Yeah, I think normal, ranges from, we talked about like previously, like the word seasons, right? Where, it could be seasons of the year. It could be like, oh, like whether it's recreationally or competitively, you play one sport and then you shift into another sport. That could be an indicator to shift your efforts into something a little bit different. As far as just like maybe like a blanket statement every like 8 to 16 weeks, 2 to 4 months, like we're making some adjustments so that way we're avoiding a plateau.
Sure.
So I'd say like that's kind of like a general framework of that frequency, to kind of redirect ourselves. And I think you mentioned it before, like it's not like we don't want to work hard. Obviously it's like the effort needs to be there, but we just need to make sure we're pushing not just into eventually like one path gets to a brick wall. We want to make sure that we're switching lanes before we get into that brick wall, right? And keep that same level of effort, but towards a different end goal.
The chicken nuggets.
Which is the chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Sometimes the waffle fries. Sometimes.
Only if we're good.
Yes, exactly. You got to earn those.
Yeah, and to your point, like having those conversations with a coach or with somebody else is definitely going to be, maybe something like that could alleviate some of the stress that you are experiencing. Because like we said, like you're working hard, you're trying to do all the things, but maybe just having a conversation with somebody could steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, there's so many times, like not even in the gym, but just in life, like just talking out an idea or like something, issue I'm trying to work out. Just the act of talking it out is like so therapeutic, I feel sometimes, because it's like, oh, like duh.
No duh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it's not as complicated or as big of an issue as we make it out to be in our heads. It's like, that's why we offer that support here,
Yeah, and the support that Sharon is talking about is for our members. If you haven't utilized this already, is we have something that's called office hours. So for every membership, anybody who comes in the doors is able to schedule an office hour with a coach where it could be a nutrition consultation. It could be asking about the exercise program.
And it's for free.
Yeah, for free.
For free.
Free is for me.
Yes.
And, you guys can use that time to strategize, to change the plan, move the program a little differently, talk about your frequency, whatever it may be, to get some of that frustration out and clear a path. And that's essentially what those office hours are for. So if you're listening, take advantage of them. Schedule one now.
We're here for you.
Exactly. Very underutilized.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
definitely
I'm
underutilized.
guilty of being or underutilizing it myself. So
But to that point,
Yeah.
like, we have conversations as coaches, like
Yeah.
we're always talking amongst ourselves too. And like, we're no different than, our clients.
Yeah.
Like we have to have those conversations amongst
Coaches need
ourselves.
coaches.
Coaches need coaches. Like,
Mhm.
that's how we're able to make progress too. Sometimes, we get in our own heads like, oh, like I'm doing the program exactly how it should be. Like I should be getting the results. And then like bring it up to you and you're like, oh, but are you doing this? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, I should have
Yeah.
thought of that. So it's like, talking things out sometimes makes the obvious come to fruition. Whether it's with like an expert or, whatever.
One of us.
Yes.
ChatGPT.
My best friend.
But yeah, I think the big thing, if you are frustrated, is like we said, have a conversation.
Mhm.
Take a step back, gather your thoughts, and get that roadmap to align to your goals and what you are trying to accomplish in the gym,
Yep.
and just making sure your actions outside of the gym, so you're not wasting your time and your efforts, because it is a big investment. You're taking time away, and you're investing in your health and yourself, and you want to make it work and get what you want. So
100%.
we definitely realize, everybody who walks through the door, like what they are trying to achieve, which I guess would, something that stands out for us is I think everybody who comes in, is a little more like goal oriented. Like
Yeah.
they're not just kind of like scanning in, bumping machine to machine, and not really sure what they're doing. Like everybody, like their actions have a purpose.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What would be like, if you kind of like recap, some ways to adhere to the things we talked about? Like, what would be like the kind of closing thoughts on that?
Yeah, if we can kind of recap, I think there's like three big things. Is one, like it's okay to be frustrated. It happens. You're not like any less of a person, or not beneath anybody else, because this happens day to day and it happens everywhere, whether you're
Happens to everybody.
an athlete or not.
Sometimes life just gets in the way.
Everybody in our facility is an athlete, but
Yes.
it's part of life, and there are resources and people to get you through those like harder times, and get you back on that roadmap, or back on that track. So that would be number one. It's okay. Number two, like don't not work hard. I think keep the effort high, and come in here and be ready to like push yourself. But maybe you just need to strategize a little bit more, and that's where that conversation comes to fruition.
I think like being prepared to pivot that effort into a different bucket.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Like, when needed and if needed. Like I think a couple examples we had was like, I'm assuming in nutrition where, maybe you thought one thing and you just needed to make this little change, and that little change, whether it's like a carb cycling or a carb loading or a little extra protein, if you thought that would be a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah, like I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, it's a very simple change.
Yeah.
For most people, it's not as extreme as we work it up to be in our heads.
Yeah. So yeah, those would be like the two big things that like stand out in my head based off of our conversation that we had together. So, if you're frustrated, it's okay. And I would say take a moment to have a conversation so you can redirect and fine tune, where your efforts are being allocated towards.
Absolutely. We're here for you.
Yeah. And the last thing that they need to do?
Get the nuggies from Chick-fil-A.
I was going to say send it, but we could send it and get the nuggies. Oh. Yeah.
I just really want nuggies. Send it to Chick-fil-A.
It's not Sunday.
That's right. It's Saturday. Ooh,
well, when it comes out, when it comes out, you're not going to be able to get it. But yes.
It's okay.
So on that note, we'll close it out.
Yep.
Any closing statements, or Mach 1, we're out?
Mach 1, we're out.
Mach 1, we're out.
All right.
Boom.